Welcome to the Visa Halftime Report. Visa, the preferred card of the NFL. It's everywhere you want to be.
As we welcome you to the Visa Halftime along with the Blonde Bomber, I'm James Brown. Too bad there's no mercy rule in effect. Boy, Brister in for Elway.
Elway says, Jay, go out and throw yourself about 3 touchdown passes at you. Hand it off to Terrell Davis, who, by the way, goes 20 yards on this touchdown run. Denver up by 7. Then Brister out of the shotgun. He's back out of Northeast Louisiana. Fires over to the right. Smith crossing route, 8-yard touchdown. Now Denver up by 14. Then Brister strikes again this time. Shannon Sharp, corner of the end zone, 9-yard touchdown pass. Terrell Davis, 168 yards rushing in the first half is more than you see in Tampa Bay and the New York Giants combined running and passing, JB.
Danny Cannell and the Giants in Tampa Bay. What would it be like? TB will tell you.
Well, yeah, I'm going to tell you a lot today. Been a great day for me. Danny Cannell out of the shotgun. He had about as good a day as I've had, folks. Over the middle. Sure, why not throw an interception? Throw it to Charles Mincy. He returns it for a touchdown for Tampa Bay. They're up by 7. Buccaneers intercept another one. 3 interceptions on the year. The Giants are there. Tampa Bay is there. 10-0.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't
had a
either.
good day. The Raiders have had a good day taking your cue, 23-14.
Cowboys 31-10 over the Redskins, 224 yards rushing for the Cowboys.
San Francisco tied an NFL record with 22 penalties, dropping 1 to Buffalo today.
The Lions, the Bears, Kramer, big day for him. 6 touchdown passes in the last 2 games, 31-27 over, you got it, Detroit.
Falcons, 3 touchdowns in 48 seconds. Highlight of the day, 51-23 over the Panthers.
Miami, no offense. The Jets, not much more, 20-9.
A lot of offense and some pretty good D, believe it or not, in this game here. Adam Vinatieri, 27-yard field goal with 3 seconds left. New England over your Saints.
The Colts, the Chargers, 2 rookie quarterbacks, Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning. Colts get their first win.
All right, so when we come back, Mr. Clutch, known as Terry Bradshaw otherwise. Some of you will go to local news. Others will come back to hear Mr. Clutch deliver the highlights on that outstanding upset by the Bills over San Francisco. That after this. He's a halftime report along with the Blonde Bomber Terry Bradshaw. I'm James Brown. Every unbeaten team that played early lost today, including San Francisco that lost to Rob Johnson and the Bills.
He hits Quinn early on this fade route, 5-yarder. Buffalo surprisingly up 17-0. And Bruce Smith, big day, harassed Steve Young all day long, comes around, knocks the ball loose. Marcellus Wiley recovers. This leads to a field goal, and Buffalo's up 20-0. Go on to survive this game, 26-21 over the 49ers.
Bill Parcells' Jets held Miami to 34 total yards rushing on the ground today.
Vinny Testaverde in, dumps his ball off to Keith Byers. Byers, 588th career reception, most ever by a running back. Dolphins are up by 3, then Testaverde back. Keyshawn Johnson in the corner of the end zone. A 10-yard touchdown pass. Jets up by 4, 7-3. Marino, rough day. Sacked here by Ernie Logan. Only 153 yards total offense for the Dolphins. There you see it. Jets beat them 20-9.
Danny Werfel trying to keep the Saints undefeated.
It's Cleveland. Cameron Cleveland in the end zone. 1-yard touchdown pass. New England up by 3, 17-14. Werfel's pass here is picked off by Henry Thomas. How far does it go, JB?
Long.
Yeah, 24-yard interception return for a touchdown. New England up 24-14. Then Adam Vinatieri, 27-yard field goal. There you have it. New England 30, New Orleans 27.
Troy Aikman not ready to play yet, but it made no difference today.
Got the running game going. Right off the bat, though, Trent Green hits pump fakes. Leslie Shepard down the sideline. 40-yard touchdown pass. It's Washington up by 7. Then play action by Jason Garrett. Down the middle to Ernie Mills of 43 yards. No safety there. Dallas 17-7 over Washington. Then second half, Chris Warren in, 6 yards out, 24-10. Dallas goes on 31-10 over Washington. 224 yards rushing for the Cowboys.
Chris Warren making a successful turn to the Washington area. Played at Robinson High School just outside of D.C. Washington 0-5 for the first time since '81. Visa Halftime continues after this.
You're watching Fox NFL's.
Halftime score at Mile High Stadium. Denver 35, Philadelphia 2. Each week during the second half of our games, Fox Sports will have 2 interactive questions. You call it and ask the pros. These questions are for those of you that logged on to the internet while watching our game. You can participate in these questions by logging on to foxsports.com. This week's You Call It. Which team, the Eagles or the Broncos, will have the most rushes in the second half of today's game? Join us on the internet. Log on to foxsports.com. And we wish you good luck. This week's Ask the Pros question is from Jeff Bozeman in Montana. If John Elway remains injured, could Bobby Brister lead the Broncos back to the Super Bowl?
You know, and my answer is going to be yes, for two reasons. One, that first half we just saw 35 points. Bobby Brister threw 3 touchdowns, and the way he runs his team and the machine. And the other thing, I remember back to 1990, and Phil Simms, the New York Giants, was injured. Jeff Hostetler had to come in and take his place, and I made a statement, there's no way that a backup quarterback can lead a team to the Super Bowl. Well, lo and behold, Jeff Hostetler did, the Giants did, and they won. So I've learned never say never, so I will never say never again.
Lo and behold, I like that. We're just about ready to go with the second half now as they're lined up to kick it off. Tom Ruin, who is the punter. Remember that Jason Elam on the last kickoff, or the last kickoff, grabbed his kicking leg, went to the locker room, came back out, went back again. And now it's Ruin to kick it off. So we'll see if we can find out what happened to Jason Elam.
I wonder, yeah, he's going to kick it soccer style. I was going to say, I wonder if the backup kickoff guy would also kick it sidewinder, and obviously he is.
Not many steps, not much distance. Fielded about the 8 by Walker. Walker is taken down as the Denver Broncos special teams, along with all the other teams.
You know, you said earlier that Mike Shanahan challenged his defense to play a whole game today, and you saw in the first half the Eagles only got 2 points, and you wonder after, you know, the first half, did we see great defense or poor offense? And I think it was a combination of both. I think that Denver has played well defensively, and offensively the Eagles have offered him no challenge whatsoever.
Still Bobby Hoying at quarterback for Philadelphia. He gets it outside to Deuce Staley, who skips out of one man. Picks up about 6. That's William Thomas over on the sideline, trying to focus the eyes and make sure that he knows where he is. There's Jason Elam. Strained right hamstring is the word as to what happened to Elam. There's Deuce Staley again. Deuce Staley doesn't make it back to the line of scrimmage.
You know, the other thing, Pat, I don't see Bill Romanowski out there. Remember, just at the end of the half on a play, I saw him on a second down play. He came out, he took himself out, and then I don't see him out there now, nor do I see him on the sideline. And remember, when we talked to him yesterday, he had a groin pull. In fact, he was icing his groin at the time, and I wonder if he re-injured that. And this is what they were doing to him. Remember, during the game, they were trying to stretch him out. So I'm not sure if he aggravated that again.
Pass incomplete. Intended for Russell Copeland. And nothing there.
Yeah, but the Eagle offense is just totally inept, so it doesn't really make any difference. I mean, the Broncos aren't at a point where they need Bill Romanowski now. And you know, Rodney Peete, it looks like he's smiling and laughing, and he does. I mean, he, you know, and I think sometimes people misread that, like he's laughing at it. But you know, over the years, and we've seen Rodney Peete for so many years, he's always doing that. He's always done that, and that's Rodney Peete.
Gordon. No place to go. Good coverage. That's one place particularly that the Eagles have improved over last year. Special teams. They covered it well. It's that time of year when the leaves are starting to turn to the gold. Beautiful sight. Derek Lavelle has replaced Davis. Brister.
That's what we thought we were going to see more of today, as a bootleg. In fact, That was the play, remember, against the Dallas Cowboys that John Elway was injured on a bootleg, so they kind of took the bootleg out for him, but they did put the bootleg in, and you see Bubby Brister make a fake here. Then he's going to bootleg out to the left here. He's looking for the crossing guy up there, and then he waited just a little too long. You know, at some point on a cross, the guy's always going to be open, but he was open before Bubby was ready to throw the ball.
Bill Johnson was in pursuit, and I think Bubby heard him coming. That's LaVille.
I wonder if Terrell Davis is not going to play anymore today. We look at what he did in the first half, and that's kind of a full game's work. You know where he ran to the left 5 times for 88 yards. He ran to the right 6 times for 42 yards, and he ran up the middle 9 times for 38 yards. So it was a pretty good mixture of left, middle, and right, and wherever Terrell Davis ran, he did pretty good.
That's a pretty good day right there in the first half.
Yeah, one of the touchdowns was up the middle, and one of the touchdowns was to the right.
Brister gets Rod Smith, and he might be out of bounds before he gets the first.
The first guy over there to argue it is Bubby Brister.
They say he was juggling it. That official says he was juggling it, and so it will not be a first down. They'll have to punt.
Incomplete. The receiver was bobbling the ball at the reception.
See right here, his feet are in bounds, but he didn't have control of the ball, is what they're saying. They're saying he was bobbling. I don't know that he bobbles this at all.
I don't think he does.
No. He didn't bobble that at all.
That's a good catch.
No. When they made up that sign of bobble, they made one up because there's no bobble there.
Got his hand underneath it.
Yeah. That was the old phantom bobble.
Ruin back to punt. Low snap. Powerful leg. Freddie Solomon will return. And he only gets a couple of yards before John Mobley.
Where did Mobley fly down there, didn't he? Woo.
Remember the first time we saw him? 35-2 Denver. Back at Mile High Stadium, 35-2. Terrell Davis down on the sideline. He might be through for the day. But pretty good numbers nevertheless. Pretty good.
Usually when they take the hard hat off and put the cloth hat on, that means that they are done for the day.
Hoying looking at Neil Smith. Low to Jason Dunn. Right now, let's send you down to the sidelines and Don Tollefson.
Hey, Pat, as you and John mentioned, nothing wrong with Terrell Davis. He's healthy and very, very satisfied with his effort. They're just not going to play him here in the second half, apparently. Bill Romanowski, though, still in the Broncos locker room. He has a problem with that groin, and when you have this big lead in this kind of a game and a big game next week against Seattle, last thing you want to see is a guy get hurt, but Romo has a groin problem. Back upstairs.
All right, Don, thank you. Hoying back to throw. Just ducks under the pressure. And it comes from Keith Traylor.
Keith Traylor, he's so proud of himself. He's pumping that 9 and that 4. He can't believe it. Keith Traylor is one of the middle guys, and what they do is they start on a twist. You see him there. He started, and then he does what they call a twist or a twins, and just the 2 tackles. Traylor goes one way, Price goes the other way. They just exchange. Then he just came right up the middle free.
3rd and 10. 3 wide receivers set up. Now if they can protect him. Hoying incomplete. Intended for Irving Fryer, out of his reach.
Yeah, we talked about Bill Romanowski being out. The guy taking his place, of course, is Seth Joyner.
Ex-Eagle.
Talking about Romanowski being an ex-Eagle. So the ex-Eagle, Romanowski, goes out, and another ex-Eagle, Seth Joyner, comes in and takes his place.
Tommy Hutton is number 4. 7 punts already. This will be number 8. This is his best of the day. Gordon got a few blockers. Flag on the play, as there usually seems to be.
This field seems to be a heavier or more slippery field than it usually is here. When the Eagles came out here to practice yesterday, they talked about how high the grass was.
Long grass, yeah.
And then today it looked like a lot of players have slipped.
Yeah. Here comes Bill Romanowski.
The kicking team downfield offense, number 58, declined. First down.
First down, Denver. They lead it 35-2. Third quarter at Mile High Stadium. Pat Summerall with John Madden.
Yeah, you look at those Philadelphia Eagle offensive linemen down there, and one thing that really has to upset them is they've only run for 6 yards today. The Broncos will run for 192, and the Eagles will only run for 100. And when you're an offensive lineman, you take that personally.
That's Derek LaVille. Interesting story about the line coach.
Yeah, Juan Castillo right there.
On crutches.
Yeah, he was walking in the stadium, and he got hit by one of those golf cart type things.
Yeah. Utility truck or something.
He tried to keep coaching, and Ray Rhodes says you had to do something, and went to the doctor and needed surgery, and they put a pin in his leg, and he was back the same day coaching.
Brister from behind. Hugh Douglas put the rush on Brister.
That was a good move by Hugh Douglas. He got up the field and then came back underneath. A lot of those times those rushers will just get up the field and then they'll continue up the field. But watch Hugh Douglas here. He gets up. Now he stops and comes back under. I mean, the easiest thing to do is to run beyond the quarterback and end up behind him. I used to tell my guys, hey, look, there's no reason to be behind the quarterback. He's not going to lateral to you. You got to make that move that Hugh Douglas made coming underneath.
3 wide receiver set up. Brister drops the throw and hits a wide open Rod Smith. Rod Smith will get a Bronco first down.
The other thing that's always impressed me about this Bronco team is how smart they are. I mean, they don't play the most physical of games, but they have quickness and they're very precise, but they're very intelligent. I mean, they know they get in the shotgun. Rod Smith coming on a cross here, gets the ball, now knows exactly where that first down marker is and how to get to it. You know, and just get beyond and get the first down. Ray Rhodes, that's the sign and the stance and the movement of frustration.
All you can do is shake your head. That's Vaughn Hebron. And he gets about 8 yards. You know, you're talking about this Bronco team, John. We were at practice yesterday, and I was saying they have a youthful look about them. And you had an interesting observation too. They have a very sleek look about them.
A lean look. Yeah, you don't see. There's a lot of fat guys in the NFL now, and like I said, I mean, we have a group. You know, the Brotherhood of United Bad Bodies of America. But on this team here, you don't see a lot of bad bodies. I mean, on offense or defense. I mean, they say that. Remember when in the Super Bowl they said this line is too small. They're not going to be able to handle the Green Bay Packers. They weren't too small, and they did.
That's Hebron again, and he'll get enough for a first down. Yesterday we spoke to Denver linebacker Bill Romanowski about the differences in the team between this season and last season.
I think we're stronger this year. I think we're stronger in, you know, a lot of positions. We got better backup players. You know, Mike has done a great job of keeping us focused, not letting us get complacent. And, you know, training camp was a little tougher this year. And, you know, I think the hard work is paying off.
Well, he said Mike has kept us focused. He challenged the defense today, and they have risen to his challenge.
And he's kept them focused all the way through. You know, they had their best off-season workout, and as Romanowski was saying there, they had a tough training camp, and now Mike Shanahan says it's a 16-round fight.
Brister gets it out to Howard Griffith.
That's the bone that Griffith gets.
Yep.
And, it's just what the fuck, he's been blocking all day, and he's been blocking great. I mean, he blocked for Terrell Davis all those yards, and they put in Derek Lavelle, and he's been blocking just 2 plays ago, a great block. And then they finally figured, we got this poor guy, he's been a ramrod all day. Let's give him the bone. And that's his bone, a little 2-yard pass. But he has done a job. I mean, if you said all the guys that have the most respect on this team, he would be like in the top 5. Howard Griffith would be on this team.
You talk about losses from one team to another. The Carolina Panthers have not been the same since they lost Howard Griffith.
Kerry Collins hasn't been the same.
No. Brister. Pass caught by Smith. Rod Smith, who had such an intimidating good year last year for Denver. This year he's still a part of the machine, but it's only a part.
Yeah, that's the thing. They started to, to do things to Rod Smith. Like we're saying, they gave him some double coverage. They would rotate their zones toward Rod Smith, and that's why Ed McCaffrey was so successful at the early part of the season. Now they're starting to do things to McCaffrey, so you see Rod Smith getting more into the game plan.
McCaffrey was on the move. That's Lavelle, who with a second effort gets a Denver first down.
One of the things you think of Ed McCaffrey and as a wide receiver, and the thing with this Bronco team, the wide receivers also have to be blockers, but even at the point of attack, watch McCaffrey here. He's going to come in motion. Now he has to come back here and seal this backside for the run there. Now that's a wide receiver coming in and ending up in a tight end position. And you see he got a little block there that really freed Lavelle to get the first down.
1st and 10 at the 31. Here's Brister. The Eagles blitz. Brister going deep to Smith, who's in a neighborhood by himself and in the end zone.
Al Harris was the corner out there. I think he fell down. I don't think he fell down. I knew he fell down. But that's the easy one. Here's Al Harris here. Now watch as he goes to make the little out move. He bites on the out, and then he slips and falls down. But it didn't make any difference if he fell down or not. He went for that double move. It was the old out and up.
Out and up, yes.
Al Harris went for the out. Rod Smith went for the up. So did Bubby Brister. Boy, this is way, way too easy now.
Ruin for the extra point. I don't think so. That was a bad-looking extra point.
That's one of the few bad-looking things this Denver Bronco team has done, though.
41-2. 41-2. The Denver Broncos are tough at this stadium. They're tough anywhere. Corey Walker on a return. Go back at that last touchdown, John.
Yeah, you know how everything is team. I mean, the first thing you have to do is get pass protection. Now watch this pass protection. When Bubby Brister is ready to throw the ball, look, there's no one here. There's no one near him. So he can not only see, but he can step up to throw the perfect pass. And on the other end here, we know what Rod Smith does, a little out. Al Harris bites for the out. Then he falls down. Bubby Brister lays it in there perfectly. But it all starts, you can have all those pass patterns out and up, double moves and all that stuff. But if the line doesn't pass protect like that, none of those other things ever happen.
Charlie Garner behind Hoying. Jason Dunn. The offensive line deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, this is a group that, again, they don't talk to the media, but they do a heck of a job. I mean, of pass protection, of run blocking. Tony Jones, left tackle. Mark Schlereth here. Tom Neal in the center. Real good Dan Neal. Harry Swain, right tackle, has been a real surprise for these guys. And when they lost Gary Zimmerman, they needed someone to step in, and that guy was Harry Swain, the right tackle.
This is a Denver timeout. Probably the next time the Broncos get the ball, it'll be Brian Greasy, rookie from Michigan, their third-round draft choice at quarterback. Son of a guy you know pretty well.
Yep, Bob Greasy, and a Miami Dolphin quarterback under Don Shula. And there's only been one undefeated team in the history of the National Football League, and his dad led that team.
That's Garner, put out of bounds by Gordon.
There's a flag.
Flag on the play.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 21, 15 yards, and first down.
Yep, that's number 21.
Yep.
Right there is Darian Gordon. And you're going to see again, he has him, and then right there he gives him that little shove after he gets out of bounds. And I think that this is a time that the officials do have to get pretty close on this stuff, because when you get a route like this, you're going to have, you know, frustration, and you're going to have things happen, and I think the officials have to call it pretty tight around now.
4.5 minutes left in the third quarter. Hoying has the Eagles in Bronco territory. That may be the first time today. Hoying for Jason Dunn. Incomplete. Hit him right in the numbers.
Yeah, we were talking about the Bronco offensive line and how they don't talk during the week to the press, or they don't talk to anyone. Part of that is their coach Alex Gibbs, as we see here. We see that ball was darn near intercepted.
Yeah, and then it hit Dunn right in the numbers. McTire had it go through his hands. Not to be confused with McTire. McTire it is.
And when I first saw that McTire, I thought that was Tim McTire. Tim McTire's now out of football.
That's Garner.
I was talking about that offensive line, Pat, and it's Alex Gibbs is their coach, and Alex Gibbs, he doesn't talk to the media, and you know, it's kind of a thing. So then they didn't want any of their linemen to talk to the media. It's kind of a fun thing if someone does. There's Alex Gibbs right there, and it's kind of a joke, and if, you know, that they're just the grunts. They just do the work, and they shouldn't get any publicity. And if anyone writes a story about any of the offensive linemen, then he has a fine system. They get fined. So then they don't want to talk to the media because they don't want to get fined, because they don't want anyone to write anything about it.
Which is most unusual. Hoying gets it outside to Irving Pryor.
But as I always said, winning is a great deal.
Oh, yeah.
And when you win, everything becomes fun and funny. And when you lose, there is nothing fun, nor is there anything funny.
Got a better look in the headset now. Shanahan does.
Yeah, when you're ahead 41-2, you don't have to put as much through that headset as you did earlier.
Garner to the 25. 41-2 the score. The Eagles' best offensive effort by far.
I know you were talking to Jeff Lurie earlier, the owner of the Eagles, and he was feeling good about one part of their team, or two parts, I guess, the offensive line and the special teams. But that's the way I think you do build a team, is through the offensive line. Then when you get that and you get solid, then you got to go get your quarterback, and that's what they really have to do next.
Hoying back to throw. To Kevin Turner. And why even run a play?
Well, that's, you know, Ray Rhodes was saying he really likes Kevin Turner, and he wants to get the ball to him 5 to 7 times a game. You know, he's not just a blocker. He's a guy that he feels when he gets the ball in his hands can do something with it. But when you're down 41-2, the Kevin Turners of the world aren't going to blow this thing open for you.
I'm not sure who is.
Well, I mean, you got to take some shots for Irving Pryor is what I would say.
Hoying pitches back to Garner. And Garner does not get the first. Mobley is the first Bronco defender there.
Yeah, it didn't do any good, but watching Trey Thomas run, you can see what an athlete he is. When you get a guy, who's like 6'8" and 350 pounds and could run like that in the open field. I mean, he doesn't get anyone, but just the way he runs. I mean, 350 pounds to be able to move like that. Of course, you have to be able to move back inside and hit a blue jersey, but he looks good running.
4th and 1, and the Eagles, of course, will go for it.
This place is romping here.
Now the Bronco fans are shaking the stand. And Hoying has got room to run for a first down if he wants, and he does.
Yeah, during that process, he had a couple of guys open. He had 2 crossing patterns, and that's usually what you do on a bootleg. You know, you bootleg, and then you have guys crossing from the other side of the field. And he did have them open at different periods. See, as he's going to come out here, now watch his crosses. You see, here's a cross right here. Oh, he ran into the official. That's a problem with that cross. But at some point, he's going to get open. And he did get open after he ran into the umpire.
1st and 10 Eagles, just outside the 14. A lot of noise coming out of that end zone.
Now those are the south stands, and they've been as noisy as any group in football. Look, and they're proud of themselves now. Look out. I remember in the old days, our locker room, Pat, our locker room door used to be right there, right underneath these people. And you'd go in there, and they'd be throwing stuff at you here, and then you'd be in there trying to talk, and they'd be jumping up and down, and you couldn't hear yourself talk or hear yourself think. That's an excuse.
From hearing you talk about the times you came here with the Raiders when you were the coach, I get the idea, the feeling, just me maybe, that they didn't like you much here.
No, they didn't. No, they really didn't. It was very competitive, and in fact we lost a championship game here. And one of the years that the Denver Broncos went on and played the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl. But it was this group here, man. They were a lot louder in those days, I'll guarantee you. These are the sons of those people.
You just thought they were
daughters of those
You just thought they were louder.
I knew they were louder.
That's Garner inside the 5.
I think one of the things Ray Rhodes wanted to do was to use a backfield with Charlie Gardner and Deuce Staley, because Deuce Staley has been a halfback, but he can also play fullback. So they got that formation that they call Thunder, and he would like to mix that in with part of it where he's in with Kevin Turner like they're in now. I mean, when you get down to the goal line, you don't want the 2 halfbacks in there. You want the big fullback like you got right here, Kevin Turner, to do your leading.
Garner's deep. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score, the Denver Broncos 41, the Philadelphia Eagles 2. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after a word from your local Fox station. The Broncos don't want them in the end zone. Defense. You know, D and then a picket fence.
You know, these fans are great fans here, though. I will say that they've always, even when the Broncos weren't a winning team, they've always supported this team.
Here's Garner, and he's going to get in. Charlie Garner scores the first Philadelphia touchdown of the afternoon. A little late.
Oh, is it just play? I mean, it does give them something. Yeah, I mean, you got to get started. They got another quarter to play, and you got to keep going at it.
Ricky Waters.
Yeah, got a little heavy in the offseason.
Yeah, he's not here anymore.
Seattle.
Chris Bonio hits the extra point.
I think they canned the center on that one.
Yeah. 41-9, Denver.
Makers of the amazing Pentium 2 processor. And by Dr. Pepper in your local Dr. Pepper bottler. Dr. Pepper, this is the taste.
Spectacular scenery around Denver. To the west, surrounding. Bonio to kick off. Hebron back deep for Denver, and he'll have a chance at returning this one to the 28.
Remember that extra point, Pat? I was saying the can to center. Remember when you were a kid, you said no can in the center, that when the center's bent over and he has a ball between his legs like that, that you can't hit him and knock him over. Watch these guys can the center. That's a double can on the center.
They must not know that game.
Well, they didn't call it. No, if you don't call it, if you don't call no can in the center, you can the center.
Brian Greasy is the Denver quarterback. Son of Bob, and they tell us he looks very good. That's Vaughn Hebron, the ball carrier. Bubby Brister had a very successful day. Touchdown pass to Rod Smith. Touchdown pass to Shannon Sharp. Touchdown pass to Ed McCaffrey. Touchdown pass to Rod Smith. 4 touchdown passes.
I would say when your backup quarterback can come in and throw 4 touchdown passes, he's keeping the machine going.
Ties his career record. That's Hebron again.
You know, Mike Shanahan was saying yesterday that he was hoping to get a game like this where he could give Brian Greasy a little time. He said he didn't want to just put him in there, you know, at the end of a game and just have him kneel down. He wanted to get him in there and let him play and get a feel for some regular season football. And I'll tell you, if he's as cool as his dad, this stuff isn't going to bother him at all.
He's bigger than his dad.
But I'll tell you, his dad could play.
Oh, yeah.
His dad was good.
Incomplete. Vaughn Hebron, the intended receiver, should have had it.
I remember watching the Rose Bowl, and it was Brian Greasy against Ryan Leaf. And everything that Ryan Leaf would do, Brian Greasy would do. I mean, he was throwing the ball like this in the Rose Bowl.
Hey, that's a good throw right there.
I said, yeah. I said, Ryan Leaf is one of the first players picked. This kid ought to be. Right? I didn't see Ryan Leaf do anything in the Rose Bowl that I didn't see Brian Greasy do.
Well, he had some great days in his collegiate career in Michigan. Ruin pounds this one into the end zone. 71-yard punt. He was averaging about 50. Would you fly in that plane?
Nope. Never have, never will, never would have. I don't know anyone that would. I don't know anyone that would fly in something like that.
Oh, I would.
You would?
Yeah. It's got 2 wings. That's more than what I usually fly.
You fly in one of those things that's painted yellow?
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Hoying back to throw it.
One of the things we were talking about, Pat, how tough this place is to play, and part of it's a crowd, and part of it's the Denver Broncos, and they always remind you of the altitude here. You know, like it's called Mile High Stadium. They even have a sign in the locker room that gives the elevation. Here it is right here. Look at this. This is in the visitors' locker room. Elevation, 5,280 feet. So you come in here to play, and you're constantly reminded of it.
And inevitably, that's what you talk about. Oh, remember the air is thin in Denver.
Yeah,
you need oxygen.
And you bring the oxygen, and you have that over in your sideline. And then you look out there, and you see the mountains, so you know that you're up in them. And then Mile High Stadium. And then they have to put that sign in your locker room to remind you.
Just to make sure you know.
Yeah.
2nd and 8.
With a team like this, against a team like the Eagles, that's the last thing they need.
Hoying appears to be changing the play. People looking around. Mike Lodish might have jumped.
Before the snap, ball start offense, number 72.
Well, he's pulled off.
2nd down.
Yep, there's the oxygen there. Well, one time I mentioned last time we were here that you know how you have water and stuff over there, and you just pick it up and you just drink it. Well, one time we'd made a long drive and the guys were getting oxygen. I went over and put the oxygen thing, and the whole offensive line was lined up behind me. And for 5 years, they never let me forget that.
You took my oxygen.
I did. I took their oxygen in Denver.
Here's Hoying. Bounce to the ground. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stinner, directed by Sandy Grossman. Associate directors Mike Roig. The broadcast associates are Fran Morrison and Charles McDonald. Technical producer Bob Muller. Studio was produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The associate director was Jennifer Love. Senior producer is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. 41-9. Denver leading Philadelphia. To Garner.
You see, Hoying has been hit 11 times, and after you've been hit 11 times in a game, sometimes you just fall when you start to twist or you go into your own guy. That was going down again way too easy. But you know, he's been knocked around there pretty good by this Bronco defense today, and I think not only knocked around physically, but frustrated mentally and emotionally.
Been a tough day. Hutton gets off another good punt. Gordon retreats. Slips out of bounds. Trying to cut back. And Denver will take over. Flag on the play.
I'll tell you, that was a late flag, and I think it was one of the Eagles hitting Gordon after he was down. If you watch Gordon right there at the end, he went down, and someone came in and hit him late on the sideline.
Well, he slid out of bounds when he tried to cut back.
It looks like the Broncos are going back.
Yep.
It doesn't look like it's against the Eagles.
For blocking the back. All the action was legal.
All the action was legal.
Oh. He called it and went through that.
Yeah.
And then said all the action was legal.
Denver leading 41-9. The Eagles, their quarterback troubles go back to Randall Cunningham in 1995. He was the starter, replaced by Rodney Peete. Coach's decision. Rodney Peete replaced by Ty Detmer when Rodney was hurt. And that's going to go on and on. We'll be back to that. Derek Lavelle. In 1997, Ty Detmer started. His record was 2-5. Rodney Peete replaced him. And Bobby Hoying then came on and finished the season. That was all a coach's decision. Now this year, Hoying was the starter. Rodney Peete replaced him. Moved the club pretty well last week against Kansas City. Now Hoying is back against Denver. And this is Coy Detmer, Ty Detmer's brother, who appears to be destined to be the next in that line of quarterbacks. Pass is picked off by Mike Caldwell, and Caldwell is cut down at about the 5-yard line, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Brian Greasy didn't have enough on this one. It's a zone defense, and if you're going to throw an out against the zone defense, you have to get it outside and low, and you have to get it out there quicker. Caldwell was just sitting back there in the zone, and that ball stays in the air way too long.
Yep.
Watch, he's on the right hash mark. He throws it out to the right, and Caldwell just jumps right underneath that thing.
And here's Coy Detmer.
You were going through those Philadelphia quarterbacks, and it's the old story to me. I've always said when you have 2 or 3, that means you have none. And really, since Randall Cunningham went down, the Eagles really, to be honest, haven't had the #1 quarterback.
Coy Detmer back to throw it. Ducks under 1, throws back across the field to Jason Dunn. After all that, Dunn's out of bounds at about the 3 or 2-yard gain.
I was going to say it's going to be a completion. It's not a touchdown. That's one of the things. You know, we saw Brett Favre do that, you know, for a touchdown last week. But you always teach, you know, don't run one way and then throw across your body across the field the other way. Detmer just did it, and he threw a duck. And they caught it, but it wasn't a touchdown.
The difference is Brett Favre, you don't see throw many ducks.
No, Brett Favre puts mustard on it in a tight spiral. And old Floyd Detmer was hit as he threw that one.
Detmer, touchdown, Garner. Ball came loose after he got in the end zone.
Yeah, that's the same play they scored earlier on. And you saw Glenn Cordrez, the middle linebacker, trying to get there. And he's upset because he doesn't get there, because he was talking after the last one that he should have that play. You see, and he's coming here, and he waits just a little too long, and then the cutback, you see, he gets there just a little late because he waited for the first cutback.
Garner gave him a little juke to the inside and froze him right there.
After the last touchdown, I saw him talking to Greg Robinson, the defensive coordinator, and Robinson was kind of giving him a heck about that.
Bonio, extra points good.
And it happened again. He dips in there, and Charlie Gardner does give him a little dip in there and then gets to the outside.
41-16. Next, it's game 4 of the NL Division Series as the Padres will be looking to close out the series and move on to the NLCS, while the Astros try to force a pivotal game 5 and keep their postseason hopes alive. Find out next, following football at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on Fox. That's coming up next. Bonio's kick. They're expecting an onside kick. That's Von Hebron, who slipped. Starting pitchers in tonight's game here on Fox. Game 4, Randy Johnson and Sterling Hitchcock making his first career postseason start. Randy Johnson lost game 1, but he pitched very, very well. Struck out 9.
And the chances of Randy Johnson losing another one, I think, are kind of slim. And of course, I've had the radar gun on those guys. I'd like to put a radar gun on Randy Johnson. The guy that had the radar gun said the fastest he ever saw was 103-mile-an-hour fastball.
From?
It was a surprise to me, because I would have picked a lot of other guys, and this guy that he told me wasn't a guy. He's been around a long time, I'll tell you that. This may be like a trivia question.
It is.
103 miles an hour. He's around a long time, but to me, what I know about baseball, he was never known as a fastball pitcher. He was never known for his speed.
But you can't remember who he was.
No, I remember. No, I was just waiting.
Oh, you were asking me
a question.
I was going to say Nolan Ryan.
No, that's what I would have thought. Someone like that, or Randy Johnson.
Was it Tom Seaver?
No, it was Earl Hershiser.
Earl Hershiser.
Yeah, that's who it was. The guy said that's the fastest he ever timed. And Earl Hershiser, 103 mile an hour.
Wow, I would have never guessed that.
No.
I would have guessed something's wrong with the gun before I said that.
Or the guy. I mean, maybe there was a guy in New York. I don't know who the guy is. He told me 103. What do I know? He said Earl Hershiser, but it had to be someone. It was the fastest the guy ever did.
You were at the baseball game.
And the fastest I ever did was David Wells, 93.
Didn't Rivera throw 95, 96 that night?
Yeah, but I wasn't on the gun then.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, he threw it later after I was off the gun. But the thing is, with David Wells, I mean, this is kind of off the subject, but the thing is David Wells was throwing like 93-mile-an-hour fastball, and then his stuff was like 73 or 74, so there was a 20-mile-an-hour difference between his fastball and his stuff.
That's what made his fastball so effective, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, so you're waiting for that 93 and you get to 73, then you're waiting for the 73 and you get to 93.
David Wells looks to me as if he could possibly make an all-Madden team.
I already put him on.
Oh, he's on?
Yeah, I put him on the all-Madden team that night.
It's Pat Bowen, the owner of the Broncos.
But David Wells looks like a nose tackle, but he pitches like a surgeon. I mean, he doesn't throw like a nose tackle.
He looks like a nose tackle who couldn't play for Denver, because he doesn't look like he's finely tuned.
No, he's not as finely tuned as most of these bodies.
Freddie Solomon back deep.
But who would have thought that Terrell Davis in high school in San Diego
would have been
was a nose tackle? Yeah.
And he has a nose tackle's temperament when he runs with the ball.
You know, another guy that has a nose tackle temperament as he plays quarterback is Brett Favre.
Yeah.
What's this?
This ball was partially blocked. The Eagles fielded it, lost it. And I don't know who got it back. Nobody.
I think rugby broke out. I think it's like rugby.
Yeah.
You see that?
Bodies everywhere.
I mean, that punt came out, and then it was coming out sideways, then it was tipped, and then someone else got it, and then it was fumbled, and it went backwards, and then they all jumped on the pile.
It was partially blocked.
They ring around the rosy.
Denver got it. Partially blocked by Tim McTire. There's Ruin.
There's a partial block right there. And then it was just about caught and fumbled, wasn't it, after that?
Yes, it was. By one of the Eagle linebackers.
But there's a partial block. That'd make it go sideways.
I think it's William Thomas who finally wound up with it after it was partially blocked.
See, the reason it was partially blocked is he took the extra step there. Then it was caught. Then it was started to be returned. Then it was knocked out. That was Al Harris.
Al Harris. Al Harris.
And then he fumbled it. And then another lo and behold.
Boyd Detmer, the Eagle quarterback. Detmer hands to Staley, who's taken down by Neil Smith after he loses a couple.
What if you would have said before the game, you don't know what the score is, but the quarterbacks in this game are going to be Brian Greasy and Coy Detmer? What would you guess?
I would have said
would have happened before that.
I would have said I didn't want to be with you last night.
It seems like everywhere around this league this year there's backup quarterbacks playing, though.
Trent Green and Jason Garrett. Detmer throws it out to Staley. He gets nothing.
You know, if you just look at the NFC East and how they're struggling this year, just look at their quarterbacks, and that's the reason.
Yeah. Danny Cannell.
Bobby Hoying. Jason
Garrett. Trent Green.
Jake Plummer.
And Jake Plummer, second year.
Remember when it used to be, I mean, you used to have your Theismans and your Simses and, you know, your Troy Aikmans and
Cunninghams,
and yeah, everyone had a gun, and then everyone had a defense in that division too.
Yeah.
Those Eagle defenses, Reggie White.
Ball goes straight up in the air. Detmer's hit just as he cocked his arm by Neil Smith, and Detmer's slow to get up. Not very big, about the same size as his brother.
Well, Neil Smith got in there and hit everything about the same time. He hit Detmer in the head and the arm and the ball and everything. Here's Neil Smith there. And watch him. He just drove him right into the turf. Look, his legs were still moving. He still thought he was trying to get some traction. That was where he had his toes up over his nose.
So Hutton in the punt. Darian Gordon back deep for Denver. Hutton's 10th punt today. That's a new career high for Tommy Hutton. The ball bounds into and out of the end zone.
And Neil Smith, they're checking that hand. That was the hand that he laid on Coy Detmer and made Detmer go on his back. If he still has a Band-Aid on his nose. Oh, that's the thing. You know how you touch that thing somewhere, that deal right in there between your thumb and your first finger? And you touch that, and then that makes the whole thing go.
That little
right there.
Web in there.
Yeah. You see, you got it. Yeah, and it shoots right up your arm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we've all had that one. I don't remember what it is, but I remember that where they touch something and it goes all the way up.
I know you don't want them to touch it again. That's Vaughn Hebron, the ball carrier. Flag on the play.
Usually when the referee throws that, it's going to be offensive holding. usually on the right side of the line. The referee and a right-handed quarterback stands on his right side, watches a quarterback, and also watches the right side of the offensive line.
Holding. Offense number 78. 10 yards. First down.
That's Matt Lepsis.
They like him. They think he's going to be a player.
Yeah, and he is the right tackle, and that's who the referee was looking at. He was a tackle on that side. Again, when you see a referee and a right-handed quarterback call holding, it's usually going to be on the right tackle. But he was a tight end. He was a tight end in college, and sometimes those guys make pretty good tackles.
Well, you know they're pretty good athletes. A fumble.
Blue ball, second down.
And they got it back. Vaughn Hebron.
Vaughn Hebron is another one of these Denver Broncos that used to play for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
You know, as you look at this Bronco team, they're made up of a lot of guys that used to play other places. You look at Neil Smith there. We know he was at Kansas City. Traylor was with him at Kansas City. McCaffrey, you know, he was with a number of teams, including the 49ers. Vaughn Hebron, Philadelphia. Seth Joyner, Bill Romanowski, Philadelphia. Bubby Brister, Philadelphia.
And others.
Yeah, a lot of guys were with teams and others.
That's Vaughn Hebron again. 41-16 the score with 4 minutes left to play now.
You know, one thing, I mean, there's not a lot of good news for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to be 0-5 today. But next week, they get to play the Washington Redskins. And they're really, to be honest with you, when they come in here with this team, they're really outclassed. But now next week, you know, it's kind of like who's the best of those bottom teams, and they can kind of start fighting that battle a while.
Or who's the worst.
Yeah, then that's a downer for that.
Here's Hebron. Down before he got to the first down marker. But the clock keeps running, and here comes the Denver punting team, Tom Ruin.
You look at this Philadelphia defense, and they don't have the dominant defensive player that they had, you know, over the years.
No.
And they don't have that guy. They don't have the quarterback, and that's tough when you don't have a dominant defensive player in your front seven, nor would you have a quarterback or a great running game. I mean, there's not a lot of things there. You kind of have to hang your hat on your special teams or
and the offensive line. Here's Ruin. And a flag on the play. That's Freddie Solomon. Slides in midfield. The ball's out of there, but he was down.
Boy, you talk about collisions in football, and I think on punt return and kickoff returns are some of the most violent collisions, other than that slant pass on offense, are the most violent collisions that we have.
Well, you get so many yards to get up ahead of steam and hit somebody.
Well, it starts out there in the outside, and those guys always do a battle out there. I mean, they just get knocked sideways and everything, and where the real collisions are inside, right there in the bottom of the screen.
There was a flag on that play, but they picked it up, so no penalty.
That's the second time.
Defense number 35. That foul is declined. First down.
That one was declined. But on another one, they had a penalty, and then they said there was no penalty.
Yep.
Although I think that this has been a pretty well officiated game today, and these are the kind that, because the Eagles are going to be frustrated, it could get a little sloppy and could get a little out of hand. I think the officials have done a good job of keeping control of this game.
I agree. Gets the carry.
I think the Eagles are just trying to run the clock out, and, you know, and get out of town. And like I said, you know, next week get back in their conference, get back in their division, get one of those rivalry type of games. And Ray Rhodes, he's going to be down for a couple of days, but by Wednesday or Thursday, you know, get them all fired up for the Eagle-Redskin game.
Barrett Brooks has replaced Trey Thomas. Detmer's pass is knocked away, and Mobley comes up limping.
Ooh, that's what they don't want to see right now. That looked like You know, that's the old thing. Remember, that's the same thing. It looked like John Elway had, and that's when they grab the back of the leg. It's one of two things. It's either a pulled hamstring or a cramp.
Right.
And as a coach and as a player and as a trainer, you always hope when they do that it's just a cramp. But when you're ahead 41-16 with 2 minutes left in the game, you don't want that to happen to one of your better players. We don't want it to happen to anyone.
But certainly not a key man like Mobley.
Denver has a big game next week against Seattle.
They sure do. Walker takes the pass from Detmer and gets out of bounds inside the Denver 15. I think Mobley had a cramp. 41-16, less than 2. Eagles have the ball, trailing 41-16. Troy Detmer is their quarterback. And Detmer fires incomplete for Irving. Pryor had it, dropped it.
Coy Detmer, you know, you talk about, you know, a family, and, you know, his brother Ty played for Green Bay, played here with the Philadelphia Eagles, is now with the San Francisco 49ers, and you know he's a real competitor. I mean, he's been a quarterback all his life, and you know his brother was a quarterback, his dad was his coach, and the Detmer family is a real football family.
Detmer drops again and throws again. Incomplete again.
Of course, this is kind of one of Coy Detmer's homes. He played here at the University of Colorado.
Right.
So he's throwing a couple of shots in here. I mean, he likes this thing, this slant comes in there. That's a little behind him. That's a tough one there. Now, if you don't hit that slant perfectly, there's nothing that the receiver can do about it, because he has to catch that thing on the run. If you throw it too late, and I see a lot of quarterbacks doing that, they're leading them right into the free safety in a real collision.
Pass mark carrier. Detmer was hit as he cocked his arm.
And Neil Smith gets another baseball swing.
Yep. Neil Smith around the corner.
Neil Smith has kind of been having his way over there. He's been on any quarterback the Eagles have had in there just about all day. Benjamin comes from the outside here. There he is. He was outside the screen. He came outside, and then he just came and hit Detmer just as he threw the ball.
1:44 left now. 4th and 10 at the Denver 14. Detmer backs out. Flag on the play.
5 yards. 4th down.
Neil Smith has really picked his game up.
Yep.
I think that, you know, the part of it is being ahead, and it's a little easier to play defense when you're ahead. But he's given Richard Cooper over there at right tackle kind of all he can handle today.
It's much easier to rush the passer when you're way ahead like this.
Well, you know, Ray Rhodes was saying that when he was the defensive coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers, Mike Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. And he said Shanahan would tell him how many points he was going to get. And he said that always made Ray feel good because he could be a lot more aggressive on defense.
Detmer lofting for the end zone, incomplete. And no flags intended for Cincino.
One of the guys that was a free agent for this team, and Kasim Cincino, and was a pleasant surprise that came in, and he was kind of heavy and didn't look like anything at a mini camp. Came back the next time, lost 30 pounds, and
can run. And
the Eagles are really impressed with him as a future tight end. Out of Syracuse, and wasn't even drafted.
So the Broncos will take over. Minute 39 left. Each team has 2 timeouts remaining. The Broncos say, let's just run it out.
They started their kneel down at a minute 30.
Yep.
And Mike Shanahan is just going to kneel down again. Mike Shanahan, a good friend of Ray Rhodes. They were on the same staff, the San Francisco 49ers. Look at that, 5-0.
Don't forget, coming up next, baseball, the Houston Astros and the San Diego Padres, game 4. If there is another game, it's Monday night. Another kneel down, less than a minute. 19 consecutive regular season wins for these Denver Broncos here at Mile High Stadium.
You know, and you think with John Elway's injury with a hamstring, like I said earlier, you kind of know that that's going to be better in a few weeks. With the back, you don't know about that. And you have to think that Mike Shanahan and this whole Bronco organization has to be real happy that Bill Romanowski made a call and said, hey, why don't you give Bubby Brister a try? I think he may be able to do something.
Here comes Mike Shanahan over to say hello, at least to Ray Rhodes. They worked together in San Francisco. 41-16. Denver victorious. That's a final. A long afternoon for the Eagles at Mile High.